might have heard that there is a little bit of an unspoken code in the mosh pit, and some decorum that you usually go in predicting to happen. A sort of community-wide acknowledgement that isn't oftentimes actually just put out there for people to listen to and know going into it, and this can be a little daunting for people just getting into the community that don't really know what to expect. And so in this video, I want to talk about some of the unspoken rules of the mosh pit. And obviously, if there are any I miss, or some specific things that you want to point out that you've noticed in the mosh pit, let me know down below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, it helps out a lot. The number one thing is, if someone falls, you help them up. No matter what type of show this is at, usually if someone falls or takes a tumble or gets hit down, kicked down, whatever it may be, usually people will form a little barrier around them to help them up. This is just a sort of brother and sisterhood type of thing where you make sure someone is okay. And if they happen to lose a shoe or maybe seem like injured or something, usually what you're supposed to do is try to help them out of the pit or create sort of a vacuum to where no one can hurt them or get past that sort of barrier so they don't get hurt further if someone maybe has a concussion, fell on their head, is bleeding, or maybe lost a shoe, lost their phone, that sort of thing. It's just one of those things where you look out for your fellow man or woman and you protect them in a lot of ways, because even though it's violent in many ways, you're playing bumper cards, you're crowd killing, you're doing this, that, and the other thing, you still in the end are looking out for people. The second thing, and this goes everywhere from like big festivals to small little venues where people are stage diving, if you hear someone say hands up, that is a calling card to make sure you pay attention to your surroundings, because that most likely means there is someone coming towards the pit to crowd surf. Since pits are usually in the center of something most of the time, if you are especially at like a festival or maybe a larger venue, you have to always have your eyes and ears open to listen to people say hands up or look up, because that means someone is coming towards you and you have the propensity to be kicked in the head if you don't pay attention, or at worst you could potentially not be there to catch someone or hold them up and they could fall and really fuck themselves up. This also goes for like stage diving, and it kind of goes without saying, but you're going to be paying attention a lot to the mosh pit if you're in the mosh pit, so make sure you are always watching near the stage adjacently in your peripheral vision, because you never know when someone might be diving straight towards the pit, and if that's the case, especially in a smaller venue, you have to be ready to either catch them or make sure that you aren't getting injured in the process. Third thing, and this is a very simple thing, if you are willing to go into a mosh pit, you need to be willing to have the consequences of it. Make sure that you are prepared to go home with an injury, to get seriously fucked up, especially if you are at a more typically aggressive genre show. You very well could be leaving with a busted nose, bruises all over you, cuts, a concussion, whatever it may be, and this is one of the reasons it's very important to be there with someone, whether it be like a friend or just a family member, someone that can have your back and that can be responsible if you aren't able to get home on your own afterwards, especially if you're drinking or anything. But you just have to be wary and understand that anything goes in the mosh pit, and you don't know what someone is going to do to you to try to either hurt you, either intentionally or unintentionally. Next up, if someone clearly has lost an item, most of the time you will try to find it. You'll see a lot at shows people start shining their phones down at the floor to try to find something. Most of the time this will happen with glasses and phones notoriously, or like a wallet, but most of the time a phone or a pair of glasses. And if you do find it, you are supposed to raise your hand as far high above your head as you can, and usually do a 360 in the mosh pit or adjacently to try to make sure that whoever has that item can get it. And a sort of adjacent thing that I can say to that is, don't go into the mosh pit if you aren't willing to run the risk of losing something. If you are with someone, one thing I personally always do is hand off any valuables to the person you're with if you're with someone, and if you aren't with someone, just make sure you have good safekeeping. Like, make sure that you have whatever is important to you, glasses, phone, as deep in your pocket as you can, or whatever you are carrying. You just have to be cognizant of your surroundings and what is happening, and if you lose anything, because it can be very easy to lose something. The next thing, and this is one of the biggest rules of the mosh pit that no one really fucks with, if someone is clearly not involved with the pit, not wanting to be a part of the pit, or are clearly on pit duty to help people get in and out of the mosh pit and make sure they can pick people up, do not try to involve them. Obviously you can catapult into them, then push you back, that sort of thing, but if someone is just minding their own business, especially if they maybe have their back turned to the pit, don't go out of your way to fucking pull them into the pit or force them into a situation, because you don't know where they're coming from, you don't know if they have any physical things that could hurt them, something that could be in danger if they were in the mosh pit, or if they're just not willing or wanting to be in the a mosh pit. That is a very dick move, and most people will just not respect that shit. Next up, crowd killing will vary depending on the genre of a show you are at. Most notoriously, you will not see a ton of crowd killing at, like, say, a death metal show or a black metal show. But if you're seeing a band or artist that is like metalcore or hardcore punk, screamo, deathcore, you definitely need to be ready to see that. Grindcore as well. There are always going to be people out to get you, especially if they perceive you as an easy target. So if you are in a mosh pit and you are at a more aggressive show, it goes hand in hand with what I said of being willing to have injuries in the mosh pit and leave with whatever. Make sure that you can identify someone if they are clearly crowd killing, fucking people up, making it their mission to cause harm to other people, punching people, kicking people, whatever it may be. Just be ready to protect yourself and to fight back if you need to, and try to just make sure you have your surroundings in full view at all times. That is kind of the overarching thing about a mosh pit just in general, is you have to understand, you need to have your full surroundings understood. You need to know what's on every single side of you, the exits of a mosh pit if you need to, the people who are more aggressive and violent, if there are any crowd surfers, and make sure, like, if anyone's coming at you, you need to be watching stage divers. It's kind of a multi-stage thing, and it's obviously, like, in the moment you have that adrenaline running, so you might not think to do it, but that can literally save you from being really fucking injured. Next up, follow the tempo of the band and of the crowd. Respect the band if they clearly don't want or do want you to do something in the mosh pit or just in the show as a whole. If they are not wanting you to do something, don't be the dick that goes against it, and if they do want you to do something, try to feed into that, because bands and artists always feed off of the energy that their audience gives them. So if they're calling for a circle pit, if they're calling for a, wall of death, don't try to be the contrarian that's doing something completely different. Follow the tempo of the crowd, follow the tempo of the band themselves, and try to make sure you're following that energy and rhythm of what you are being surrounded with. The next thing is, remember, it's all in good fun. Unless you're dealing with a true jackass crowd killer, and even then it doesn't inherently mean they're out to get you or are a bad person, it is all in good fun. Everyone's there for the same reason. They love the bands that you are going there to see, they love the scene that you are going to see, and even if in the moment it may seem like they're angry or aggressive or trying to hurt you, ultimately, we're all in this together, we're all here to have a fucking blast and enjoy the bands that we're there to see, have fun in the mosh pit. And if you go into the mosh pit and get hurt by someone, rest assured it's not personal. I've seen dudes literally get their fucking, like, noses broken bloody, and immediately right after they're patting someone on the back and hugging them for it. Like, it is a sign in many ways of respect, and it's a cultural thing that a lot of people don't understand. Just remember, it's all in good fun, everyone's there for the same reason, and it's not personal if someone goes after you or targets you. If anything, take it as a compliment and a form of respect, and a sign that you are a badass. What are some of your favorite stories of a mosh pit that you've been in, as well as, like, some secret things and unspoken rules that you may know about? Let me know down below. I can't wait to hear it and discuss it with you guys. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.